Anyone try to get your number, Rob?
No one's ever tried to get my number. No. 87 is my number.
Yeah, same.
Jules, what if Drew Bledsoe came out of retirement? Would you give up number 11 then?
What year of my career?
2016.
Nope.
Right in your prime.
No.
The squirrel. The
Come on.
nut just running all over the
Bledsoe.
field, scoring touchdowns.
Hey,
it's Drew Bledsoe, though.
I know. It's tough. We always had a thing because he'd come in the locker room after games and he always like be rooting for me even when I wasn't playing and stuff. He was cool. I'd probably give it to him. It's true. Welcome to Dudes on Dudes. I'm Julian Edelman.
And I'm Rob Gronkowski, a.k.a. The Gronk.
And this is the show where your favorite dudes get to talk about their favorite dudes.
And Jules, what are we talking about today?
It's free agent frenzy, so I think we got to break down some of the moves that are going around.
You know, the Patriots giving away the richest contract in franchise history, more money than Tom Brady ever got per year. The current state of the 49ers.
Could it be a transition year? We'll talk about it.
And maybe a little Aaron Rodgers talk. Where's he going to go? There's a couple suitors out there still available for him.
And then we wrap up the show with the Chillest Dude of the Week presented by Coors Light.
And you got to stick around till the end. Let's go. Let's get into it, Jules.
Dudes on Dudes is a production of iHeartRadio.
But first, let's have a little chit-chat at what's going on with our lives right now. Obviously, we'll get into the free agency in a little bit. But
I just got off my phone, and I see you're over at the Players' Championship.
Yes, the Players' Championship. Which is basically a fifth major. Right now, I'm at my home in Tampa.
It's the highest paid one, right? It's the highest paying?
Yes, it is one of the highest paid, but it's technically not a major, but they call it the fifth major. It's the Players' Championship. I actually really didn't know too much about it because I'm just a little into golf. I'm not like a crazy fan like that. You know, I appreciate what they do, but I learned a lot while I was there. I learned a lot about the majors, how the Players' Championship wasn't a major, but it is like a major because, you know, it's the that's the highest paid, and all the big time players still play there, and they treat it like that. But technically, it's not a major, so I learned that. But what was really cool about it is I got the caddy for Will Zolatoris for 2 holes, and then also I did a 30-minute, coaching session where I got coached at the driving range by Jordan Spieth. He taught me some tips, taught me, what to do so I can keep the ball going straight. You
hit any bombs?
I hit some bombs, I was hitting a couple shanks. Like,
what club were you swinging?
So we started with the driver, then we did the 9 iron as well, and then we also did a pitching wedge. So that was really cool. And shout out real quick to Willie Z. He looks like Happy Gilmore's caddy, in Happy Gilmore, but unfortunately
and he's a Game with Names fan.
And he's a Games with Names fan. Great dude. Loved him. Had a great time with him. It was just so fun being his caddy. Really cool times, man. I appreciate all those guys welcoming me.
Man, Rory. You got to meet Rory and all the boys, huh?
Mm-hmm. I got to meet Rory, Shane.
How tough was that 17th hole?
Shane Lowry, I got to meet, who I said looked exactly like Travis Kelce. He could have been the Kelsey's third brother, no doubt about that. And he's kind of jacked too, so he fits right in with them. But the 17th hole was really cool, man. First off, TPC, one of the most beautiful golf courses I've ever seen in my life. Actually, it's the most beautiful golf course I've ever seen in my life. I love that grass. It's just crystal clear green. It just sticks out and just makes your eyes happy, makes you happy just looking at it, just hanging out on that grass. I went all my backyards one day to look like, the TPC golf course.
We got to get Gronk to the Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get Gronk to Augusta. If he's calling, Players Champion, that's a beautiful course, but you got to see the other courses, Rob. We got to get you to Pebble Beach. There's a bunch of places that are so beautiful, and then we throw you across the pond and put you over in fucking Ireland or Scotland and see some of those beautiful courses. You'd appreciate it.
I would.
Andrews.
I appreciated TPC, so I'm sure I would appreciate all those other courses. And what my favorite part was when I was a caddy for Will is obviously I talk about it all the time. Happy Gilmore is my favorite movie. So I put the Caddy uniform on and I handed Will his club, to use. It was the driver because it was a par five on the first hole that we did. And then the crowd wasn't loud enough because I got a little bit of round of applause for being the caddy when I handed the driver over to Will. And I turned around, and I was like, that wasn't loud enough. Louder, louder, folks. And then I started doing Raise the Roof, and I turned up the whole entire place right on the 16th hole, right before the 17th hole. And that was one of the coolest moments because I felt like I was in the movie Happy Gilmore. I felt like Happy Gilmore at that time. And it's going to be coming out, it's already out actually. So check it out. It's just awesome. I loved it there. Thank you for the PGA Tour for having me as well.
Did you try to hand him a 69-degree wedge?
No, Jules, I didn't think about that. But now when we play, we better use that 69-degree wedge.
That could be used real well in the sand.
It could be. Yeah, right next to the water where it's all wet, you definitely need that 69-degree wedge then. To be able to handle that shot.
Be able to get under that thing. You know what I mean? Got to get under it. So did you have any caddy strategy? Or did you it was just like, he's just like happy to have you there. He knew everything. You say, hey man, the hole, if you look it over here, you see the ocean comes from this way. So I know it looks like it's a downhill putt, but it's uphill because the grain and the ocean pull it this way. I could see Rob giving some insight like that.
I actually was giving insight like that. I pretended I knew the wind speed. I was doing that, testing out the wind. I told him exactly where to hit it, to the right more. I handed him the driver. Then I handed him an iron. I gave him the wrong iron. I gave him I think like a 9 iron when he really only needed like a 6 iron, but it didn't matter because he had to listen to me the whole entire time and he was going along with it.
You gave him a 9 iron when he wanted it. So it was a 200 yard and you gave him a 9. It was like 200 yards out.
I thought a 9 iron. I was trying to even coach him through. I go, here you go. Here's a 9 iron because this 9 iron is for you, Will. This 9 iron is between 190 and 220 yards. And he was just laughing to himself. He didn't even correct me. And I gave him the 9 iron and he's such a pro that he could obviously adjust his shot, depending on what club he has and how far it is. I mean, he can use a 9 iron, even though it's only 180 yards away still. I mean, he knows what he's doing and he had a great shot.
How unbelievable is watching those guys just swing and stick those shots.
They just make it look so effortless and you got to appreciate that. And that's what makes it so intriguing as well. They're just so consistent and it just looks so easy to them. It's kind of like watching you run a route, back in your heyday, Jules, when I always just looked over, I'm like, that's just too easy for Jules. It's like, he's not even trying. Well, it's the same thing with them, man. And it's all about consistency too. They're just doing it at a repetition that you have to do it at in order to stay at top of your game. I mean, it was the practice rounds. It was just Tuesday I was there. And it was just a practice rounds there. And they're taking, I don't know, 200, 300 hacks. They're at the driving range before they, go around the course and take their practice rounds. So 200, 300 hacks on just a practice day, a day or two before the actual tournament. So it just shows no matter what sport you are in, basketball, football, golf, it's all about repetition and doing it on a daily basis so you keep your skills to the highest level.
Practice execution becomes game reality. And the reality of it right now is that it's March.
Mm-hmm.
And what does March mean?
March means March Madness, baby. Mm-hmm.
Well, are you watching this? Are we getting a bracket? We're getting a nut house bracket.
I think we do need a nut house bracket. We got enough people to be able to make it exciting. We got about 8 people in our crew. We did the Nut House Fantasy football, and let me tell you, that went terrible. But this is like my redemption. I got in last place on the fantasy football side, but I'm gonna get some redemption here, man. I love college basketball. There's not as much focus as fantasy football because fantasy football is 18 weeks long. This is like 2 weeks long, you just fill out a bracket and then you just see it just do its own thing. So I can put all my attention to it for an hour, Jules, and fill out a great bracket and make up for my fantasy football loss.
What's your first thought going in? Like, what are your teams. Are you watching Arizona every time the tournament happens? Or have you been watching college basketball at all right now?
I really haven't watched any college
Same.
basketball, but I'm
It's
a big
hard.
college. It is hard, man. We got so much going on, and I'm a big college basketball fan. But it's like the NHL playoffs. It's like the NBA playoffs. I don't miss it. When the March Madness comes around, it's basically college basketball playoffs. It's must see TV. It's must see sports. So I tune in every time during March Madness, and it's so easy to catch up on who's the best team. The number one seeds. I mean, you just study that, study the teams for about an hour, you study the brackets for about an hour, and boom, you're right into it and you understand everything that's going on. So I'm going to fill myself in about the next week, fill out a bracket, and give it my best shot against all the Nuthouse crew. Who's your team? And who do you got winning, Jules?
I don't know. I haven't studied it yet, and we got to study it here because we're launching this thing here soon. I'm always
Kent,
I hope I need Kent to win the MAC tournament.
They won't get in unless if they. Yep. They only
Kent
get in.
State. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. And then the crazy thing is that Cooper Flag injury. Did you see that? The ankle roll?
No. What happened?
Yeah, that guy.
What's going on with Coop?
He's leading. He's a freshman doing all these he's a monster. He's from Maine. Or is he from Maine? He's from Maine. We talked about it with Scalabrini. This kid's supposed to be the legitest dude of all time. On Duke, ankle hurt it now, so that'll suck if he doesn't get to play. We have a shot at Kent though. We do have a shot. 21-10.
Does Kent State have to win the MAC tournament in order to get a bid into the tournament?
Not that educated on it. Not that educated on it, but winning the MAC tournament, you're probably in. They always seem to get in, and they always win. They make some noise here and there. Mm-hmm. Kent State basketball always making noise. Still talking about it like it was yesterday. The Elite Eight run with Antonio Gates. He went to school 5 years before me, and I used last year. Whenever I would tell him, we went to the Elite Eight last year. I used that for 10 years.
Well, Jules, if the Kent State Golden Flashes don't make the tournament, you got to root for Arizona with me to make a run.
I always do.
I'm a big Arizona basketball fan. Love their head coach. Great guy. Great dude. Hung out with him a few times, man. Great down-to-earth man. And he just gets after his players. He coaches them hard, and that's why they always have a winning organization there and a winning team. So I'm a big fan of Arizona basketball just overall, and I'll be rooting, for them, deep down. And hopefully they go all the way this year. They had a couple chances over the last 2 years. And Tommy Lloyd, he's got this team rocking and rolling once again. And hopefully they play their best ball in March Madness when it comes around. So let's go, Arizona Wildcats. We'll be watching y'all.
Yeah, anytime I've always filled out a bracket, I'm always very biased towards Pac-10 schools because I grew up in on the West Coast, and I grew up around Berkeley and Stanford and watching Oregon, all the Pac-10 schools. So I'm very Pac-10 biased on my brackets. So does that mean I got to go Big Ten biased now? I'll go the Pac-10 teams in the Big Ten. That's usually how I'll formulate how I'm going to pick my bracket. So I have minutes to do it by now. But yeah, March Madness is always fun. Wake up in the morning, there's games all day. You're taking a dump, you're looking at your phone, someone just fucking upset someone. You're like, how's there a game on right now? March Madness is literally madness.
And you pray for a Cinderella team every single year. It's so cool when you
upsets.
See a 14th seed, team beat a number 3 seed team. Those upsets is what makes March Madness. You just love every moment of that. And then also a player that's never been heard before turns into a superstar just overnight because of March Madness. That's what it's all about. It's not about, watching the number 1 seeds dominate a number 16 seed and winning it all. It's about the whole process of March Madness, underdog winning.
I remember watching Steph Curry at Davidson,
Mm-hmm.
fucking balling during March Madness. I think, what year was that? I don't know if I was in the league or in college, but
Yeah, speaking of Steph Curry, he's actually the new assistant GM at Davidson basketball. I don't know how he's going to do that while he's playing for the Golden State, Warriors, in the NBA, but he's the new GM, assistant GM at Davidson. I mean, you got to have a GM now because of the NIL. It's pretty wild. It's basically treated like, a pro team. So you got to have a GM, you got to have a head coach, you got to be able to have someone that has the financials as well.
that's crazy.
And they got Curry as assistant GM, which is pretty cool. I think he's making history as like the first active player to do that in any pro sport. So, that's really cool. Shout out to Davison to doing that. Shout out to Jack as well. Jack, my man. So yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's going on with him.
That's gnarly. But yeah, March Madness. It all started in March Madness. Now he's the first active player GM for a college, which is, if you told us that 10 years ago, you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? We'd be like, oh, I don't know. Don't worry. But let's get back to football. It's the new year of football. It's officially in the books. What's that, March 1 or something, March 5? Free agency craziness has been going around. Have you been watching some of these deals? Do you have a New Year's, NFL New Year's kiss yet,
Actually,
Rob?
Jules, I haven't watched any of the deals on what was it, Monday? I was busy a little bit, but then I caught up with everyone and everything about free agency that's going on. And boom, let me tell you, it's like, woo, a news shocker right to your face. Like your eyes just open wide because of just so many deals that happen. Especially if you're not checking your phone every minute because there was a new deal every 5 minutes. So then if you didn't see what was going on all day, like you're sitting there for an hour, like I was Monday night, just checking out all the deals that were going down. And it's just so fun to catch up. And what's so crazy about the NFL is that they made it a 24/7, 365 days, year-round process now. They made it so you're intrigued at all times. I mean, no one really talks about the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl anymore. It's all about your team now going forward into the 2025 season and having so much hope for them and talking about the trades and why they're going to be good and talking about the guy that you got in free agency. And that's why you're going to win the Super Bowl this year. So the NFL is doing such a superior job at keeping the fans engaged all year around. And you got to give a shout out to the NFL for doing that, man. I mean, look, free agency happened, and now they're already talking about the draft. I mean, the draft. I mean, hold on. Everyone's not even signed yet, and we're talking about the draft still. Like, that's how crazy it is and how intriguing it is as well.
And then after the draft, we'll talk about OTAs and mini camps.
Mm-hmm.
And after mini camps, we'll talk about, training camp. There'll be a couple of rests in the
after
in between.
mini camp. You talk about all the guys getting in trouble between OTAs and training camp. So
couple
that's
rests
like the
in
dead
between.
Period. That's when you don't want to be in the news, Jules, is that period right there. That's the dead period, and it's slow for everyone. If you're in the news, that's no good.
So shout out to all you young football players. There's a high risk part of like when you're going to get arrested. It's usually when you're away from the facility, that break after mini camp to training camp, dial it back, have an Uber, don't hit your girl, no guns. Let's get started into free agency.
That's some good advice right there.
Yes.
Listen to it, young bucks. Listen to Jules.
Get an Uber, don't hit your girl, no guns. Okay, that's A. Especially right after fucking mini camp especially to training camp. That's the window where the numbers are out. I mean, they're probably hearing it right now from a rookie advisor. Like, yeah, you hear about this stuff all the time, and you could say, "Oh, I'm not gonna be that idiot." Well, I was that idiot. We've all been that idiot. Mm-hmm. So, one more guy to reiterate to you younger guys: just
call a Uber or call a Lyft or have your buddy that stays sober drive you and pick you up.
Yeah. Arguments, walk out the room. Okay. pistol in a certain state, not going to happen. Okay, we don't try to bring it onto a fucking plane. Little common sense shit.
Goes a
little common
long
sense
way.
shit. It goes a long way.
Long way. It sure
if
does.
you have to think about it, don't do it. If you're sitting there like, man, don't do it. And I'm preaching to myself. There's nothing better than basketball in March. The buzzard beaters, the Cinderella teams, David taking down Goliath. It's just the best.
Yeah, and you never know which players are going to take over the tournament. 1 minute, they're nobody. The next, they're future stars.
The best part of March is being on the edge of your seat, watching crazy upsets with an ice-cold Coors Light.
Dude, same here. When the games get wild, nothing beats cracking open a Coors Light and just chilling.
No matter what you love about the big tournament, those 4 weeks are truly mad, especially if your bracket fails you.
With only a 1 in 120.2 billion chance of filling out a perfect bracket, it's basically impossible.
Don't let your bracket break you. Choose chill all tournament long with Coors Light.
Submit your bracket to the ESPN Tournament Challenge presented by Coors Light for a chance to win cold, hard cash.
And for a chance to win more prizes all tournament long, visit CoorsLight.com/March Hoops.
Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado, beer. Celebrate responsibly.
Let's jump into this free agent frenzy. And let's start out with some of these fucking signings that the Patriots had.
Mm-hmm.
They signed some. They've been spending that Gouda. They had the most money in free agency this year, and they were talking about spending, and they went out and spent it. Got Milton Williams, D tackle from the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
I mean,
think
the
Bill would have
Philadelphia
made that deal?
Eagles, well, the Eagles wanted to keep him, but they just didn't have the cap space, and they already have just so many dominant players on their defensive line that are young bucks that they're going to eventually have to pay. So they had to let Milton Williams go. And, the Patriots gave him the most richest contract in Patriots history. I mean, what is it? A 4-year, like $100 million deal. I think it's a good deal.
Yeah.
It's not like they overpaid. I think it was very fair. He's a great player. He's going to make a difference on that defensive line. And you have to spend it.
And you always build the team through the trenches, okay? This is a splash. I don't know what kind of guy he is, but I'm sure they did their homework. You got a guy like Vrabes there. He knows what winning's like. This Williams contract, this is awesome. The team needed that.
It's really
and the money, that's not even like, you can't address the money because no one's really been paid a big contract at the Patriots since Tom, and that was like 8-10 years ago, so those numbers aren't going to be high. So like him going and having the richest contract in Patriot history, that's just due to the numbers and what the league is now from when we gave a big contract out to another guy. Would you agree?
I agree with you, man. And if you ask me as well, do I think Bill would have made that deal? Yes, I do, especially if he was in that situation with that much cap space and he needed a defensive lineman. Well, especially a defensive lineman he would have paid because it's a defensive guy and he loves bringing in those defensive guys and paying them as well. So I think Bill would have 100% made a move like this as well in this situation with that much cap space. It just overall, the fans wanted to see the Patriots spend too. They didn't want to see them sit back, relax, and hopefully a guy falls into their lap for, a good deal. No, they went out, they spent, and the Patriot fans appreciated it too because they want to see those type of guys out on the field. They want to see a winning formula, and I feel like they're on the right, trajectory and going in the right direction right now with all these moves that they made.
I wish they got more linemen. Like the center, like look, DA just retired. Or got cut, so you wish him what a great career, 9-10 seasons with us. I remember when he was a young pup, 8-time captain, 2 Super Bowls. Like he's a stud. What was the lineman that went?
I think the Atlanta Falcons to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Is that who we're talking about? I don't know his name, but I saw that guy. He went from
he's on the market
Falcons to the Bears.
Regardless.
Yeah, the Patriots needed to grab him, especially if they knew. That's one guy the Patriots missed out on was the center from the Falcons who the Chicago Bears picked up. They should have paid him whatever he wanted.
They got Tooney as well. The Bears had they've picked up, like, I know Tooney's probably going to be expensive and he's on the other side of 30, but Drew Dahlman, like they could have got, like, there's been a lot of money given to players that they need. Like, they got Morgan Moses, but he's kind of an older guy, you know, and you know, 3 years, 24 mil, 11 guaranteed. He's just there probably for veteran presence and to swing and probably try to help someone that they bring in. I mean, they're going to need him. They need line, more line. I like the Carlton Davis signing. I think that the Patriots now have two, like, legit lockdown corners. Like, I think Carlton Davis is a number 2 behind Gonzo. Like, they're going to do a lot. You get inside pressure with Milton, the signing of Landry on the outside. He's a good football player, plays hard, has some experience with Vrabel's system. So, like, I love what they're doing on defense. Offense, I want to protect the kid more. I don't know what they're going to do in the draft, so, like, I haven't been talking to anyone, but, like, love that they need to protect. They got to protect him. More line. Let's get more line. You know what I mean? Look at these teams that have the best teams in the league right now have line.
We need to still go out and get a star wide receiver. I mean, that might be the draft.
I like
Travis
the Mac
Hunter
Hollins. I like Mac Hollins, though. I like
he's
that
good.
sign.
He's a good pickup because he's great at special teams, and special teams a key factor, especially with Mike Vrabel being in charge. That's always been a Patriots tradition.
I like him because they have a young football room. They have a young receiver room with a bunch of younger talent in there, specifically right now. Mac Hollins, he's a professional. Like, he's got a bunch of antics where he does the barefoot stuff in public and dresses like this. But I've heard I know him. He's a hardworking dude. He's mature. He has his public persona of what he is, but he gets a bad rap for that. But he's a professional. Like, when he's at work, he's a pro. So them having a professional in that room, I think is going to be big because he's coming from a winning program. He's coming from the big dogs. He's been around the league on a bunch of teams. So I like the Mac Hollins signing.
When was the last time you were barefoot in public, Jules?
I used to do the grounding. Remember, after practice, in like spring, I would ground.
Yeah. I'm a believer in that.
Because I think that's why he started it. He grounded. Like, we were doing that like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You ground after practice because they were doing it in the EPL. Remember? English Premier League. We had John Sullivan, sports scientist that we used to have at the Patriots. He was over big with the EPL, English Premier League sports scientists, and they used to ground the soccer players after a long running session because it helps you balance or something. So we all started doing it, remember?
I do. I believe in it, man. I like it. If you definitely want to reset your body as well, your rhythmic, your rhythmic circulation, or what is it? Rhythmic. What's
rhythmatic?
The second word? Yeah, rhythmic. Oh my gosh, it's a difficult word to say.
Rhythmatic circulation?
Yeah, rhythmatic circulation. It puts you back on the normal sleep schedule that you're supposed to be back on. So grounding helps out big time. And you saw Mac Hollins dress up as a Muppet last year too when he was on the Buffalo Bills. Do you think he should dress up as one, or what Muppet should he dress up as this year, Jules, now being on the Patriots? You think that will be fly, being with Vrabel or what?
I mean, if they're winning and he's producing, I think that's going to be the key. Like, all that stuff, like when you're on a winning football team, all that stuff works. I don't know. It's a little different if you're not winning, you're not producing, you're not playing, and you do that stuff. So I think a lot of that is situational and depending on each player, each different team. That's all situational to me.
And then it's going back to their free agency. They picked up outside linebacker Harold Landry, 3 years, $45 million. He's
edge guy.
Vrabel guy from Tennessee. He's a pass rusher, and that's what the Patriots needed last year was a pass rusher to get to the quarterback and put pressure on the quarterback. So their defense is looking strong. They went out, they took care of what of the positions they needed to take care of on the defensive side. They're going to be very solid. And Vrabel's D might be looking like the type of defenses Belichick had back in the day as well. You got to earn it. You got to beat the guys to get first downs and touchdowns. So that was a good signing there. But we need guys on the offensive side of the ball. We don't know their exact game plan, but we need some more linemen and we need some more skill players out there for Drake May. And then I feel like the Patriots will compete where they really need to compete. They'll be at that level. Free agency is not over yet. There's some receivers out there as well. They can make some trades, but go out there, get some linemen, get a playmaker as well, and then I think they'll be set. And I think Drake May will take off, to the level that he needs to in his second year.
I think everyone also has to take a second and be reminded that free agency and is kind of like fool's gold. Fool's gold. Where like
we're a little off today, Jules, with our pronunciations, but it's okay.
Fool's gold.
Fool's gold.
Fool's gold. Like, because if these guys, like, if you're going to free agency and if you're that great of a player, there's a reason why the team is not signing you.
I like the direction you're going right now. Keep going.
I just think that, like, you always... There's a lot of free agents that get paid a lot of money to go be a hole filler at, another team that does a different thing, that has a different identity, a different scheme. That there's like more cases that they don't work out than when they do work out. There's cases where they do work out. Look at, Kansas City with, revamping that offensive line 5 years ago with Tooney drafting. They revamped that through the help of developing their team through guys in the draft and bringing in guys. So I think that, like, free agencies, like, you're not going to make your team the best it's possibly. You're not going to win a Super Bowl over free agency. I think you put your team, the best teams that we were always a part of, we'd bring free agents in, but we built our team through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to develop your players. So, like, these guys are good players that can come in at the last part of you trying to become the team you want to be. But, like, to be and grow a foundational team, that's why I think free agency's fool's gold.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Am
I making any sense?
Man. And you're making total sense to me, Jules. I totally understand where you're going with that.
Because look at our teams. You look at our teams. You look at
because of all the guys that we drafted. That Bill drafted. It was all core guys. You got to have that core base of within your team. The solid base of guys that have been there, that have been through the rigor, that have been together for a couple years, 4, 5, 6 years together. And then you bring in other guys to just fill in the bits and pieces. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They have those core guys. That's why they were champions this year. The Kansas City Chiefs, they have all those core guys. Those are the best teams. Every once in a while, you see a team progress, from like last to first because of free agency, but you barely see that ever happen. So it's like fool's gold, like you said. It's like trickery. They go out and they get all these players and they think they're going to be great. And then, boom, it just never happens because they don't have that solid foundation still, like you were just talking about. Look at the dream team when they had with the Philadelphia Eagles back in like 2013 it was. They're like, oh, this team's going to the Super Bowl. They went like, I don't know. I just know they didn't have a winning record, didn't even make the playoffs, and everyone was hyping them up because of free agency. So I 100%.
This is just a reminder. Like, these are exciting times, and these are awesome players that are coming to your team. But this isn't going to make your team that yet.
No,
that has to come through foundational building, through like the GM, coaching, all together, and then it's kind of like putting the freaking whatever, like the free agencies are like lights and like the star on a Christmas tree. It's not the tree. The tree is the thing that you're decorating.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, it's a good star that it makes the fucking thing happen, but it's not like you could live without it. Like, you've seen some sick Christmas trees without a fucking star. An expensive star.
That's a
that they
great
did from, you know what I mean?
analysis right there, Jules. You hit it right on, man. That's exactly what it's
But-
like. And you're not,
So-
and you don't even celebrate Christmas, and you're still hitting it right on.
We do both
You
in
are
our house. We
yeah,
do
you
both.
do both, but you know what I meant.
Yeah.
I
So-
mean, what do you think about Joe Cardona being the last dude from our era still on the New England Patriots, Jules? And then also, what do you think it says about the new regimen?
The new regimen. Well, Joe being the last one standing doesn't surprise me. He's a Navyman. He's a Navyman. You know what I mean? Those guys,
They
like,
fight.
he was a professional.
Can't take
You know,
them
like
down.
when you went to work, he was always like on time, worked his ass off, great leader by example. So, like, I expect Joe Cardona to be one of the last guys standing. You know what I mean? Because that's the
He'll go
kind
down.
of fucking guy he is. I mean, he was like one of the first guys, because we had a couple different Navy guys, Eric Catani, this, that, and they couldn't, like, they wouldn't allow the free agent to stay on the team because they still had to serve. He was the first one, I think, to be able to stay on an NFL team while also being an active sailor, where they let him play the season all year, and then in the off season he'd have to go to Newport, Rhode Island and serve while we all were on vacation, like our time off. So, like, all off season he had to serve. So, like, what do I think? I think it's amazing that Joe's the last guy from our era, and I expected it because that's the kind of guy he is. The Admiral. That's what we
goes
call him.
down with the ship.
Goes down with the fucking ship.
What do you think the Patriots should do with the 4th overall pick? Now that you see what they've done in free agency, does that change anything with them having number 4 overall, which they should have number 1 overall, and they would be sitting pretty, but they decided to beat the Buffalo Bills in that meaningless game. That just shows how big of a difference that win was, man. They would be sitting pretty if they had that number 1 pick. Joe Milton looked like a superstar. I can tell you that when he played. And obviously, when you start your backup quarterback, he's going to ball out. He's going to give it his all. So, like, that was a tough situation. But I'm just saying they would be sitting pretty right now with that.
Yeah, but it's not as bad. Like, it's not as bad as when it first happened. Now, looking at the draft of players we're pulling from, I guess, right now, because they don't have, like, it's not a so-called quarterback heavy draft. So, like, there wouldn't be, if you had the 1, there wouldn't be that many players that are going to, like, want to trade up to that 1, because that's what you'd honestly want to do with that 1, is try to trade back and collect a lot of picks. At least that's what I would try to do, because you have a lot of holes. This 4th pick is kind of like in that, you know, those guys are getting, I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as, I was a little disappointed when that first happened, but I don't think it's as bad because you can get the players you want at that 4. Who do I think they're going to get? I don't know who they're going to get. I'd want more line. Now, I probably wouldn't go Travis Hunter. I probably wouldn't, because Carlton Davis signing, right?
Yes.
That's another good corner.
Christian Gonzalez as well.
Christian Gonzalez.
They don't
He's
need a
another good
corner.
corner. They don't need, and is he a finished product at receiver? I don't know. You know what I mean? He's a really good defensive back that plays on offense a lot, and he play. I mean, it was remarkable to see how many plays he played a game throughout the whole season. But I don't know if that's sustainable in the National Football League. I don't know if you could do that. And I think is he playing corner?
No one knows what he's playing yet. I think that'll be figured out once he gets, to OTAs.
So then, yeah, I don't know. I would probably go. Is it a lineman heavy draft? No.
No, it's not. You can't take
like,
a lineman 4th overall. That's just a reach. That's too much of a reach. If you're going to take a lineman 4th
then
overall,
I would trade out of it.
I would trade back. I would trade out of it and then take an offensive lineman. It's either
because there's a lot of receivers in this draft, right? There's a lot of receivers.
I think they need to trade out of it. I think they trade back, either get an offensive lineman, the first one on the board, or they take a wide receiver that's going to be available between like 10 and 15.
Which I think there's going to be some guys there. And I think you want more of a polished route running conceptual receiver for a younger quarterback than like just, I don't know.
Well, if you're talking about a more polished, young buck like that, they got to go with Tate McMillan out of University of Arizona, where I went to school, baby. I met the guy a few times.
Pushing up. Look at you pushing over these.
He's got a great head on his shoulders, and the guy's athletic, man. He's athletic. He's big. He can body out defenders, and he actually went against Travis Hunter plenty of times over his college days, and he did some work, man. I mean, they had some battles, but that just shows pro on pro right there. And he got open and did his thing against Travis Hunter. So I think Tate McMillan would be a very good pickup for if they trade back a little bit. And,
right.
Grab him at like 10 to 15.
See, I heard Tate McMillan actually rented Rob's old house that has all the bras in the tree that he rented with his brothers from Arizona. So that's the only reason he's saying that we should pick him. That's what you're saying.
No, we need to grab him, and he can bring the bras with him.
Yeah, no, I want to protect Drake. So whatever that entails, I'm not a GM. I don't think I have any of that kind of knowledge, but for me, whatever it takes to get protection, I think you want to protect him before you want to get him weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Let him learn how to run the offense and then start throwing some nice weapons on the outside.
All right. T-Mac with the number 12th pick overall after we trade back. And then we get an offensive lineman in the second. And because then we'll have 2 second-round picks, and we grab 2 offensive linemen in the second round. I think that's the way we should go, Jules.
You can never have enough pass rushers.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Julian Edelman.
And I'm Rob Gronkowski.
Sometimes you need to bring your A game when the moment strikes. And the secret, Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks are a dual-action prescription treatment designed to help give you better, more spontaneous sex.
Ooh. And they're dissolvable. Just pop one under your tongue, let it work its magic, and in 15 minutes on average, you're in the game.
That's faster than most 2-minute drills, Jules. Plus, Rose Sparks stays in the game for up to 36 hours. No, you're not stiff-arming it for 2 days straight, but when the mood strikes, you're ready to score.
More confidence, more control, and more satisfaction for both you and your partner.
And Ro makes it easy, too. You connect with a medical provider online, no waiting rooms, no hassle. If approved, your prescription gets shipped right to your door.
And here's the deal. If prescribed, new sexual health patients get $15 off Spark on a reoccurring plan.
Connect with a provider at ro.co/dudes to find out if prescription Rose Sparks are right for you. That's ro.co/dudes for $15 off your first order.
Well, Jules, let's get into free agency moves around the league on offense now. We just talked about the New England Patriots, where they still have some void, but let's get to the other teams now and let's check out these contracts.
Look at this list right now, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first one that hits you first?
Aaron Rodgers not signing with a team yet. That hits me first. I don't think yet in free agency anyone was really overpaid. I think the market was kind of, played where it was supposed to be played. For example, it wasn't like Sam Darnold went out there and became the highest paid quarterback. I think where he signed with Seattle and was paid 3 years, $100 million, right around $3 million a year. I think
Baker Mayfield deal.
Right. Yeah. I think that was a great signing by the Seattle Seahawks. I think that's where he fits in. I think with the market, I think some of these other teams have overpaid their quarterbacks tremendously.
You know what? I gotta cut you off.
All right, let's hear it.
The one thing about Sam Darnold, I want to know, what was the bottom line number that Minnesota had for him. You don't think they tried to sign him at all?
I think they had to try to sign him, but I'm probably pretty sure it was like a deal where it was like, I can't take that. I'm sorry. If I was the Sam Darnold's camp.
So he went.
It was probably like
How
20 million
much
a
more?
year.
20?
25 mil a year. I'd probably say 25 mil a year.
So he got 7 more here a year. So this is a 3-year deal. All right. How you think Sam Darnold's going to do in Seattle when they let go one of the, I love Najigba Smith, but they just let go of DK Metcalf. They have a defensive-minded coach who's really good on defense, but he's not an offensive guru where, Minnesota has that. Like, if I'm Sam Darnold and it's a 3-year deal, which you're basically trying to hit free agency again in a couple years, that's pretty much a 2-year deal right there. That's a 2-year deal. I would have done it for like maybe $8 million less with the team that you're going to hit on. You have rapport with. You have the best receiver duo with Addison and Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson and Jones, and you have a really good team around you. You have a good offensive line. You have a head coach that is an offensive-minded head coach that got you playing the best football you've ever played in your life. That's what I questioned. What was the bottom line number that Minnesota gave? Because then I don't know if Sam's going to be the same Sam he was in Minnesota in Seattle with what he has around him in Seattle. I think he's he's a better Geno Smith. He's a better Geno Smith, but he's nothing like he's a more athletic and a younger Geno Smith.
Do you even think that Minnesota even made an offer, or they're like, "Hey, buddy,
I don't know. That's what
we appreciate what you did for our organization, but we're going to go with our young buck," because that happens many, many times in the NFL. It's always about the up and coming young buck, that's coming through, man. That's the NFL for you. That's just how it is. That's how business is done. So they might have not even given him an offer and just said, "Hey, we're going to let you hit free agency."
They may have, but that must tell you that they must really love J.J. McCarthy. To have a kid that's never thrown a ball in a meaningful NFL game, to let someone leave your building, Sam Darnold, go somewhere else, who just was in MVP talks all the way up until week 16. Week 16 of the National Football League. MVP talks, week 16 of the NFL. That's like J.J. McCarthy better be the guy.
Well, J.J. McCarthy's into grounding as well, so he may be the guy. But hear me out on this, Jules. Aaron Rodgers to the Minnesota Vikings for a year or two. How does that sound? Does that make sense? Is that accurate? Would that be a good fit?
I don't think so, because it's probably going to be more money than what Sam Darnold was, or if not, probably in that same ballpark.
What if he's like, "Hey, I'll play for 15, 20 million this year. I got enough money in the bank," which he sure does.
Do they still like J.J. McCarthy, or are they doing this because they think J.J. McCarthy's going to be good in the future, or they don't think he's the guy?
They would do that because they think J.J. McCarthy is going to be good in the future, and he's also coming off an injury, so they're not sure how ready he's going to be.
Can't do it.
It's basically going to be like his rookie year again.
Then I won't do it. Then I won't do it.
All right, if they think J.J. McCarthy is going to be the future, I wouldn't do it then.
I wouldn't do it because I don't think Aaron Rodgers is. I don't think he's a type of guy that's like let me mentor a young guy anymore. We just, you know what I mean?
Over it.
He comes in with such an aura where he's not like that. That's just not possible for him being in the same quarterback room with the guy that's going to be the future. I just can't see that. That's tough for me to see. And then, they got good things in that locker room going. And I just, Aaron's, is he going to be there during organized team activity? Is he going to do this? There's a lot of stuff that comes along with Aaron, and they got a good thing going right now. They don't need that right now if they think this kid's the future.
All right.
And if they were gonna do that, then I think they would have kept Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't think, but I could be completely wrong. Watch when this thing goes down.
Yep, I feel you. I understand where you're coming from because if JJ McCarthy's the future, you just want to go all in with the guy that you think's the future, so he just can bring it all right from the beginning and just unleash him. That makes sense. Totally makes sense. And then, what about that Justin Fields? So going to the New York Jets, 2 years, $40 million deal, $30 million guaranteed. So basically, he's going to be on the roster for the 2 years with the $30 million guaranteed. I mean, he reunites with former OSU teammate Garrett Wilson, and it just feels like, I feel like it's the right move for Justin Fields, but at the same time, the Jets starting quarterback position, it just seems like it's just cursed. It really does, man. I mean, you got Geno Smith who was there, you had Sam Darnold who were there, and now they're booming since they've been off the roster for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers goes there. He didn't play bad at all. His numbers were pretty legit, but just overall, it just seemed like it wasn't going the right way. And now Justin Fields goes. Does he break the curse? What do you think about this move, Jules?
I think this is a bridge quarterback move. This is someone who, the team probably likes that he didn't turn the ball over last year, and with the Steelers, he had a lot of growth, had a lot of improvement in his career, or in his craft. But who is very athletic, and they kept on talking about wanting to move the pocket, right? Didn't they want to move the pocket with the Jets and be more athletic at that position? So I think he's a good bridge quarterback where they'll be competitive, but I don't expect them to do anything. You know what I mean? I think they'll be competitive. Hopefully I don't know what that I don't know what that is.
Sounds like the Jets would be the Jets once again, Jules. Makes sense. Makes sense. It does.
Well, I'm not trying to say that it's like a bad signing. It's just like what else do they have going? They got to build up that good defense and then have Justin, like are they going to play that formula like Steelers ball?
Well, I can tell you this: if you're talking about that formula like Steelers ball and you don't know who to start, Justin Fields or
no, the formula where you play really good defense.
Just when he was the starter, not two quarterback debate. Okay.
Essentially, what the formula, what the Steelers have been since Big Ben has left, like having a really good defense that takes a ball away, that has explosion plays, that has a quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over, that will situationally run and take off. That's kind of what they're looking. I don't know.
Well, this one was intriguing to me, which I think they overpaid a little bit, at this position, and it's the Indianapolis Colts signing Daniel Jones to a 1-year, $14 million deal. I mean, I feel like with the way that backup quarterbacks have been getting paid, I feel like it should have been like a $5 million deal with maybe incentives that can go up to 14 million, 15 million if you're the starter throughout the year and you have playing time. And you got Richardson versus Jones. That's going to be a quarterback battle in Indy, and they were the two lowest QBRs in 2024. And I can tell you this: when you got two quarterbacks that are battling, like what they were doing with Richardson and Joe Flacco last year, if they're going to be starting Richardson some games, if they're going to be starting Daniel Jones some games, when you have two quarterbacks, you actually don't have a quarterback, in my opinion. Like you don't really have a team that's going to be essentially focus on what you're going to do because you don't know who the guy's going to be. And it's just too much going on, switching guys up, and your game plans are getting switched up. So I think if Daniel Jones does beat out Richardson, then it's a fair deal. But if they brought him in to be the backup to Richardson, I think like a $5 million, $6 million, $7 million deal would have been more efficient, for the Colts compared to all these other backup quarterbacks like Mac Jones. He got 2 years, $7 million. Jimmy G, he got 1 year, $4.5 million. The Pats backup quarterback who they just brought in, they signed 2 years, like something small. So that what do you think about that situation? I want to hear your opinion.
This is a last call for Richardson. This is, hey, we're bringing this guy in to compete with you. If you can't beat him out, you're not the guy. If he beats you out, all right, he's a good bridge quarterback until we find another guy. Let him build off that. Now, you listed off a name of guys that are backups. Mac Jones, 2 for 7, this, that, and the other. Daniel Jones has a playoff win. Daniel Jones won a playoff game. Mm-hmm. Daniel Jones, I've been such a guy that's like, oh, Daniel Jones, this. But Daniel Jones, through being hated on in the New York media, this guy still came to work every day and was a fucking professional from what I've heard. You know, he looks the part in shorts. He knows the reads. For whatever reason, they never got it done consistently in New York, and he's gone. But I do understand that $14 million. That's the going rate for a backup quarterback that's gonna play. That's the rate now. And if you bring in all these, you talk about other guys. Daniel Jones was a starting quarterback for 3 years, got a second contract with a team. Regardless of what you want to say, that this is what the agent is telling the team. Hey, Daniel Jones got a playoff win. He's going to come in and compete. This is how much he costs. So I think it's a good move because competition makes the best. This isn't going to be a 2-quarterback system. This is going to be either Richardson plays or Jones plays. And if Jones plays, that means Richardson's probably on his way out. That's what I think.
No, I like you breaking down that situation, man. It sounds appropriate, sounds right. And then also, it's a fair deal if Daniel Jones does play. I was actually comparing his deal to the other deals, but those other guys, they know they're not going to be playing. They're true backups. Daniel Jones might be vying for the starting role at $14 million. So that does make sense. That is what it says. It says, Daniel Jones, we might need you as our starter. So if you can beat out Richardson, hey, here's $14 million. That's not true backup money. True backup monies are the other contracts that we're talking about.
The Colts aren't bringing him in to just be the backup. This is that contract tells me hey, this is you coming in to compete for the job. So, you know, that's what that tells me, at least from afar. Kenny Pickett going to Cleveland. Got to shout out that old little trade. Kenny Two Gloves.
You think he's a future in Cleveland? Possibly. Is there a chance? Is there a slight chance that he's the future? Like, he was a first-round pick, had a great career in Pittsburgh, you know, at the college in Pittsburgh. And then, you know, got first round to the Pittsburgh Steelers and got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. He knows what it takes now to win a Super Bowl. He saw Jalen Hurts did it. He was his backup this year. He has a Super Bowl ring now. Gets traded over to Cleveland. He has a possible shot at playing this year, Jules, and starting for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, he's already got a couple starts under him. Is he the future at all? Is there a slight chance?
I don't know, but when I see this, I just say, man, Howie Roseman, look at him, that dirty dog. Getting a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett.
Guy's a genius.
Easy, best in the game. What I mean?
Best in the game.
Give him DTR. All right, we're getting DTR too. He's got some wins under his belt.
He sure does.
Look at Howie Rose. You know, is he the? It's hard to be the future in Cleveland. Okay, so. You know,
good point.
I think their future is in Tampa right now that they got rid of.
Excellent.
And that's Baker Mayfield. The future that they had, they got rid of, so they browned it somehow. And I feel terrible for the Cleveland Browns because I went to school in Northeast Ohio, and I know those people they live, die, breathe the Browns, and they're fed up with it. So I feel bad for Kenny having to go into this situation because that's going to be a tough situation regardless. And I love everyone there. You know, Chatty O'Shea's there, and we know all our boys are. It's just a tough fucking place. That quarterback thing, that quarterback contract put them in the grave. Shout out Myles Garrett. At least they got him paid and stayed there. But which of these moves you think is going to work out the best?
I'm going to go with. We didn't really talk much about it. Actually, I was going to say Geno Smith, but he wasn't a free agent. He got traded, so he's kind of not in this category now because he was just traded. I'm going to say Sam Darnold. You know, you kind of brought it up that you're not sure how he's going to perform for the Seattle Seahawks because he knew the system in Minnesota that he should have stayed there no matter, how much money they were giving him, that he had, the talent around him to be the guy, to shine.
Are we just on
But
quarterbacks right now?
I think no, we're not just on quarterbacks. We're on everyone overall. But I do truly think that Sam Darnold will be the guy that they're looking for in Seattle. Now that Sam knows what it takes, to get the job done, like he did this year in Minnesota, Seattle went out and got him for a reason. They're going to put the weapons around him that they need to, and it'll be a value deal, to where he will perform to the value that he's at.
League-wide free agencies.
I really like the Joey Bosa signing with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, I can't believe he didn't reunite with his brother in San Francisco. Like, how do you not want to play with your brother on the other side of the ball, especially being two edge rushers? That would be one of the coolest things to see as just a fan, to see two brothers getting after the quarterback. Imagine just them both getting a half sack at the same time, one going high, one going low, and just demolishing the quarterback. And then they get up and they're like penalty, the Bash brothers, high at the shoulders and hips, Jules. All one right. At the shoulders, one at the hips. That's not a penalty to them. That's what I was referring to. And then they're like the Bash brothers, and they have some, Bosa dance that they do after, and the crowd goes wild, the fans go wild, and every time they get a half sack together, it's like highlighted all over the place. That would just been cool to see.
Yeah, but this isn't a Disney movie, and the 49ers aren't a winning team, and Joey Bosa said, hey, let me go try to chase one and go to the Buffalo Bills, okay? This ain't a Disney movie, Rob. I like that. I like that Davante Adams going to the Rams.
It is. I mean, Matthew Stafford needs that guy out there out in that field. I mean, Matthew Stafford still has it. He played at a high level last year. He's going to play at a high level this year. They got that contract situated out that he's staying now with the LA Rams. So Davante Adams is going to shine. I mean, he got paid again, bro. I can't believe that money that he got. I was understanding like maybe like a 2-year, $30 million deal, but he got paid, and now Stafford can throw to Puka at any time. He can throw to Davante Adams at any time. He's got the Kyrie out of the backfield too at the running back position. I mean, they're going to be looking nice. Sean McVay knows what he's doing.
Yeah. This is something that they needed all last year. They struggled in like red area targets and like guys that could win outside the numbers. Like having Coop and Puka, those guys, they were too much of the similar guys. They're really good at intermediate routes, shorter routes. They'll get you over the top, but they're not like, they're really good paired with a guy that can open up the top and be a traditional X. Those guys are like F and Z's. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Davante Adams is an X. Like, you could put him and say, hey, you go work over here.
X factor as well.
X factor. So I think that's going to be huge for their offense. Now, did they play pig? Did Puka and Davante play, or did they play pig for the number? Because I know Davante got 17, and I heard Puka go on to McAfee and say they had to play pig for it. So I'm just taking it that Puka lost it. You lost that pig. Puka, you lost that pig. Puka, you lost. Did he lose that pig for the number?
Puka, you can't be losing that pig for the number. You can't be doing that. You got to at least be getting paid. I mean, you're a young buck. You don't have a contract yet. Hopefully, Davante coughed up some of that money and handed it over.
Yeah, I know. You got a lot of them. A lot of those.
Mm-hmm. Or
shekels.
Maybe he's just a good guy like that, and I think Puka probably.
I think Puka
up to him like throughout his childhood. I mean, how do you not look up at Davante Adams if you're a young buck wide receiver, especially when he comes on the roster? I mean, it's easy to just hand over the jersey number because it's Davante Adams, one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game. So, I mean, I'm sure there was some negotiations. I don't know how it truly went down. So,
anyone try to get your number, Rob? Coming out early?
No one's ever tried to get my number. No.
Yeah, same.
No, 87 is my number, Jules. No one's coming for it. And when I got to Tampa, there was some no-namer wide receiver with it, and I literally said, give me that number. And he's like, no problem, Gronk, here it is. I was like, that's right, mofo. Hand that number over. That's mine. And the Tampa Bay was like, the organization was like, that's right, you take control of that number. That number is yours. So I got it right away.
You give him anything?
Nah, It was a guy that I don't even think was on the team when I got there. Like he was
Okay.
there in the off season, but then he wasn't there. Like after, because that was during COVID. I don't even know who it was, but there was someone at bottom of the roster with 87, and they just coughed it over to me. So there was no negotiations. It was nice. I'm just glad that no one legit had it at that time when I got there.
Yeah.
Jules, what if Drew Bledsoe came out of retirement? Would you give up number 11 then?
What year of my career?
2016,
Nope.
right in your prime.
No.
The squirrel, the
Come on.
Adelnut just running all
Come
over
on,
the
Bledsoe.
field,
I know.
scoring
Hey.
touchdowns.
Hey.
It's Drew Bledsoe, though.
I know. It's tough.
Mr. Winery.
He always we always had a thing because he'd come in the locker room after games and he always like be rooting for me even when I wasn't playing and stuff. He was cool. I'd probably give it to him. It's true.
Mm.
He can still throw it. We got to talk about these fucking Niners, just my 49ers childhood team just being gutted. Only 11 starters from their 22 remaining from the Super Bowl team. They in a full rebuild or what?
I think they are kind of in a full rebuild. And is Brock the guy? That's actually the main question. Is Brock Purdy the guy in San Francisco? And how much do you pay him when it comes down
Are they
to
going to
it?
pay him?
I
They
think
have
they
to pay
gotta
him, right?
they gotta let it ride one more year, right? Let it ride.
I don't know if is Brock's agent going to allow that?
Does he sit out
No,
if he
I
doesn't
don't
get
think
paid?
he's that kind of guy. I think they'll get something done before,
Yeah.
but like, what's that number going to be? Is it going to
I've-
be a 5 in the front, or is it going to be a 4 in the front, or is it going to be a high 3 in the front?
I would say if I was the San Francisco 49ers, I'd be really happy if they could sign him with a 4 in the front. Anywhere from 44 to 48 million dollars a year, the front office of the San Francisco 49ers would take that, I believe. And I think that would be a very fair deal for both parties too.
But I'm Brock Purdy's agent, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, you mean to tell me Dak Prescott, a guy that doesn't even have one season worth of playoff wins that my fucking little 7th round quarterback does, who's making $60 million, is $12 million better than my guy? I can't do that.
You're
I
right.
can't do that.
As an agent, that's when the egos kick in. And it's always up to, the player as well to tell their agent, hey, I'm willing to, take less money, a little bit less, not too much.
Yeah, Rob, can
'Cause
you
I wanna
walk us
stay
through
there
this
in that
situation? Because I've never been through this situation. Go ahead. How does
What
this work?
situation are you talking about, Jules? Free
Like-
agent situation?
Like when a team's about to unload a truck of money to you, like do you, the conversation you have to your agent, like, hey man, I don't need it all. I want some to go to the team.
I mean, you were in this situation, Jules, when you were
Never.
a free agent. But I wasn't really in this situation either because it wasn't like I was in the prime of my career when I was in Tampa Bay Bucks. I had the Buffalo Bills. They offered me, I think it was 1 mil or 2 mil more than what the Tampa Bay Bucks were offering me, to go back to Tampa my second year. But literally, it didn't matter if the Buffalo Bills offered me $5 million more at that time. I knew my mindset was to go back to the Bucks for the second year, out of retirement. I wanted to play with the Bucks. I was familiar with the situation. I was happy, with the living conditions as well. You got the nice weather. My mom 2 hours down the street. Easy.
That's kind of
flight in
like
for
what
my
Godwin
family.
probably felt.
Exactly. It's exactly how I believe Godwin has felt as well. Like, hey, I got my family here. It's nice weather around 24/7. I know the organization. I know the playbook, and that's how I was feeling at that time. So
I know the taxes.
the taxes as well. Yes. So it's not always about getting the most bang for your buck in free agency. It's where you fit in as well. And that's where I fit in, was with the Tampa Bay Bucks at that time. I could have fit in actually with the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen, no doubt about that. But it was truly meant for me to be down here still.
Yeah, it's.
But that was my only situation. It wasn't like $10 million difference. It was. I signed 1 year, 10 million in Tampa, and like Buffalo Bills were offering like 1 year, 11 million. So it wasn't even that big of a difference, Jules. So I actually really never been truly in that situation where it's like a $5 to $10 million difference.
Well, you're in a different mindset than Tre'Davious Ward, Javen Hargrave, Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, Uzcheck, and Debo, because they said they want to go somewhere else for a couple extra million.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
Or
mean,
the team didn't
everyone's
want
in
them for
different
the coach.
situations, man.
Man, the
Everyone really
Niners.
is.
Niners in a full rebuild. I'm not gonna lie. When they lost that Super Bowl, and I think I have people around where I said they lost that was their window. That was it. And I don't want to be, because I'm on a text chain with all my high school friends, and they're all Niners fans. So
We're recording this a couple days into free agency, so a lot of things could change.
but we thought it'd be fun to look into our crystal ball.
Oh, the crystal ball. Let's hear the first read, Jules, from the crystal ball.
Justin Fields will win more games at quarterback for the New York Football Jets than Aaron Rodgers did. 5 games. Will he win 5 games? Justin Fields, I think they're going to win more 5 games.
Mm-hmm. I'm on the same page. I think this crystal ball is on the right path. This crystal ball knows what it's talking about so far. I think they win about 6 games to 8 games this year. I think they're going to show improvement from last year. So the crystal ball says yes.
I agree with the crystal ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think the defense is going to play a lot better with Aaron Glenn at head coach. Like the defense was good at then they had too much fucking stuff going on in the Jets lock. So like the strength of their team didn't play as the strength of their team last year. I think the strength of their team is going to get back to being the strength of their team this year because of Aaron Glenn. So I think yes, Justin Fields will have more than 5 wins or 4 wins, 5 games, 4 wins.
Well, let's
Crystal
see what
ball
the crystal
number
ball
2.
says next. All right, crystal ball number 2. Mac Jones will start more than 3 games in San Francisco in 2025. Ooh, crystal ball, I'm going to go against you on this one. I think that's a no. The only way that is happening is if Brock Purdy gets hurt, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So the crystal ball on this one says no. No chance of this happening. Brock Purdy's too legit.
Well, does the crystal ball not see in the past all the injuries that old Brock Purdy has attained? Huh,
No,
Rob?
Jules, it's not reading that.
He's been
it's
hurt.
reading the future.
His left tackle, backup left tackle that played a lot because big boy, Big Trent, he's been banged up the last couple. He's not there. They're losing linemen. They don't have Debo. Will he be holding on to that ball? Ricky Pearsall is his only target right now. Will he be holding on to that? Is Christian McCaffrey playing this year? So we'll see. If you say the crystal ball says no, I think the crystal ball says no as well.
No. Oh, what
Mine
does your
does too.
crystal ball say? Yours says no too?
I think he might play 2 games, not
All right.
3.
Yeah. Well, it's more than 3, so he actually has to play 4 games.
All right, I got a crystal ball for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Ooh, the New England Patriots will make the playoffs in their first year under Coach Mike Vrabel.
Ooh.
Crystal ball.
Crystal ball. This crystal ball.
I think they're going to.
This crystal ball's feeling it today. And I'm
This
feeling the
crystal
crystal ball here as well. What's funny is my brother's name is Cristobal in Spanish, but it's totally spelled different. This is crystal ball, like 2 separate words. Cristobal is just one word and it's a name. So it's kind of reminding me of my brother. My brother is kind of like a genius like that too. He just knows what's going to happen in the future. So crystal balls are smart. So shout out to my brother Chris for being the original crystal ball.
Shout out
Uh,
Crystal Ball.
yeah, shout out crystal ball. And the New England Patriots, I believe too, along with the crystal ball, will make the playoffs in the first year under Mike Vrabel. I feel like the Buffalo Bills will hold it down again and be the champs of the AFC East. But I mean, you got the Jets; they're going to be all right. Nothing special. You got Miami. It ain't like they're making moves right now. It's all the same guys from last year. I they're going to be competitive. They're going to be right in the middle. But I'm thinking the New England Patriots with Mike Vrabel is going to take it up a notch, and they're going to be the team that's going into the playoffs this year as the number 2 seed, and out of not the number 2 seed overall, but as the number 2 team making the playoffs. So as a wild card from the AFC East.
I agree, but my mind went to when you said Miami's going to be. My mind went to, man, all those wine bars in Boca. Better watch out for Zach Wilson. He just got shipped to town. All those moms.
Mama Jamas. You like moms, Jules. I know you do.
I love my mom.
Me too.
Geno Smith, crystal ball. Ooh.
All right,
Geno Smith will have more wins than Sam Darnold. I'm going yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going crystal ball is yes, because I think the Raiders are trending up.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the leadership there.
I'm going yes as well. All because of my guy, Brock Bowers, man. Love seeing him play. He's going to have a reliable target at all times. They're going to have a system that's going to benefit Geno Smith as well. He's reuniting with head coach Pete Carroll. You got Brady there as well. He's not going to let this team, be, in the mid level of the pack. He wants to take it up a notch. So I think, yes, he outperforms Sam Darnold.
I agree. I just think it's going to be tough I don't think Seattle has a lot of, they got Walker, they got Smith and Jigba. I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't know if he's going to have the same production as what he had in Minnesota. They'll have a really good defense, and that division's up for the taking. And, with LA being the NFC West, like big dog, I think the other 3 can fight each other. So, but I believe in Pete Carroll and Geno Smith trying to go out and purposely have more wins than Seattle to show them that they still have it.
All right, and the last crystal ball reading we got here. Woo! Cooper Kupp will have 100 catches for 1,000 yards and 6 TDs in 2025. And Roberto's crystal ball says no. Yes, Cooper Kupp will have an impact, but he will not be a 100-catch guy. I say more around, 70, 75 catches, possibly 1,000 yards, possibly 6 touchdowns, but not a 100-catch guy. He's going to make an impact. He's going to do well. He's going to be a reliable target. But my crystal ball here says no. He's 34 years old as well. No,
31.
Not 34.
31.
He's 31 years old as well. So you can still run, still make an impact. But being a 100-catch guy, that's going to be tough.
Rob, I had 100 catches. I had 100 catches at 33.
Well, you're Julian Edelnut.
Yeah, but I think if he messes around and goes to like the Niners or like one of these systems that will feed him, that need him. 100 is. It's no easy. I'm going no. Mm-hmm. I'm going no. I thought he can still. He can still play. It just don't. You don't know if he's going to be the feature guy anywhere. No. So no. It's going to be tough.
Didn't he already admit before last season that he's not the feature guy anymore and that Puka is? Didn't he say something along those lines?
I don't know.
Yeah, from what I can recall, I think he did. So he doesn't want to be the feature guy. I think he wants to be the number 2 and have that load taken off his shoulder, which is understandable. I mean, when you hit your 30s, that's kind of what happens.
It does. It does, unless that's when the wheels start to fall off.
They do.
That was fun, the crystal ball segment.
Yeah, it was. We need more crystal ball,
I
in
think
our
we
life.
need more crystal ball. Well, let's get into the chillest dude of the week, brought to you by our favorite beer, Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/dudes. Celebrate responsibly.
Look how chill that looks. I can see the blue mountains from here. It's going to quench your thirst as well. Going to make you, feel, social, feel a little buzz after one or two, just to the perfect amount. But shout out to our chillest dude of the week, presented by those blue mountains, Coors Light, Jules. And who is the chillest dude of the week this week? Who do we got?
Got to give it to Cavante Turpin. Just became the highest paid teamer. That's a chill guy. 3 years, $18 million. We're not we're not backing the truck in, but he is a teamer. That is a great living. He's an unbelievable football player that has a great story. Came from the other leagues of USFL, was the MVP of that league, and then had to work his way into this league. Became unstoppable force, where he's made a huge impact in helping his team, with only a certain amount of plays. That's what the cool thing about being a teamer is. It's good to see a guy like him go out, work his tail off, go the long road, and get $18 million. What a good number. $18 million, 5.5 guaranteed.
Coming off an all-pro season, only player in 2024 with a punt return and kick return for a touchdown.
Both.
Highest
That's
return average since the merger in 1970. I mean, this guy is legit. He's chill. He's one of Bill Belichick's underrated players. I seen him talking about him. We talked about that the last episode as well. You love him. You love teamers. You appreciate teamers, Jules.
Love teamers. Frisco Fighters.
Yes, you were a guy also that punt return and kick return, so you know what it takes. You know how special it is to be able to do all those, jigs and jags out there on the field to make people miss. So congratulations, Cavante Turpin. You are the chillest dude of the week.
He's so fast, it just looks chill. And that was the chillest dude of the week, thanks to our favorite beer, Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/dudes and celebrate responsibly.
And what was super chill about Cavante Turpin that really no one knows about is that he was not even in the NFL when he could have been in the NFL because he was playing for another league, the New Jersey Generals. I'm pretty sure it was the 2022 USFL MVP. And he also played EuroLeague,
long road
football. So a long road that developed him into being the player he is.
Played in Poland.
This is why he's so chilled, because he took the long road. He worked at it. And when you work at it, you just chill, Jules. You're just chill then. So congratulations.
And that's the chill. And that's the chill dude of the week. Well, that's been another episode of Dudes on Dudes. What could we do better next episode?
What could we do better next? Come on. Rate and review us. Put it in some comments. What could Jules and I do better?
I think we're getting better.
We are getting better. This is only our third session over Zoom together. I really like it when we're in person, but, with our schedules, it conflict a little bit. But we are getting better. We're building up the chemistry. We got better microphones. We got better, headphones. So we're getting it. We're getting after it.
You guys let us know what you want us to do. And we'll rate and review. Mm-hmm. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to your podcast. And remember, follow Dudes on Dudes on YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Snapchat. We'll see you guys next week.
Yes, we will. We will see you all next week. Dudes on Dudes is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio. Visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.